Well, it's the final countdown. There's only 1 week left for the federal leaders to pitch voters. And with no clear front runner, it's still anyone's guess who will win out on election night. Are the odds of a minority government on the rise? Who will be the balance of power? Is the Bloc Québécois the wild card in all of this? Let's bring back the scrum and find out. Tonda MacCharles is back, Joyce Napier is back, Craig Oliver's back, and our special guest this round, the president and CEO of Nanos Research, Nik Nanos. Happy Thanksgiving, Nick. All right, this is the week after the debate. Did the debates change the election?
Well, it definitely changed the trajectory. We've seen a Singh surge on the ballot numbers and on the preferred prime minister. Right now, we've got an orange freight train that could crush the Liberals.
Really? So was it fair to say Jagmeet Singh won the debates?
I think so. He's the only leader that's come out with net positives out of this. It looks like the more Canadians see Jagmeet Singh, the more that they like.
And all of our calculations, all of our political arithmetic has been blown to
out
bits.
the door, Craig.
Yeah. First, not only do we have one wild card, though, this time, we got two wild cards, and that is the Bloc Québécois, who are now close to, if not beating, the Liberal Party in the province of Quebec. Where does all this go? Can anybody get a majority? Who can even put together a minority? It may take 2 or 3 people to support one government.
You know what that means? That means none of the above. I think that's what happened. The
Somebody
two front runners, we thought it would be liberal, conservative, and what people are telling us anyway, what your polls are saying, is that people are going, no, not really. Not so much the Liberals. They haven't moved, or they're going down slightly. The Conservatives are going down slightly. And I mean, Jagmeet Singh, 3 one-liners in a debate, and all of a sudden people are going, hey, maybe this guy's real. That's the thing. They're going around with their prompters across the country. Don't you guys know after 4 years what to say? You really need prompters in your speeches. So they're there, they're like, you know, it's an automatic pilot. And then this guy comes along and he's got really good one-liners, and you go, here, at least one guy's authentic.
It's not just 3 one-liners in a debate, though. It's consistent performance over the course of the last several weeks in the campaign. And people see him, as they saw Justin Trudeau perhaps the last time round, showing some passion, being a happy warrior, projecting optimism, projecting hope, projecting the ability of government to make a difference in their lives. And so if you take all the big sort of lines of what we've been talking about, people's anxieties around their incomes and their future prospects for their kids, that speaks to them.
But there's still a dead heat between the Liberals and the Conservatives at 32. Neither can mathematically form any kind of majority government.
Yeah, that's
and aside from Singh, Blanchette and the Bloc are on the move. So this speaks to Craig's point.
How is that playing out in Quebec? So let me, because I'm trying to figure out what's the math. Where do the NDP, who are surging in popularity, what's their pathway? Where do they actually pick up seats if the Bloc is also surging in Quebec?
It's probably more likely for the NDP to pick up a couple seats in Atlantic Canada, not to pick up in Quebec, but they could pick up in Ontario and British Columbia, those key battlegrounds.
And what about Quebec? Where is the Bloc?
In Quebec, well, right now, when we kind of break out Montreal from the rest of the province, Montreal's still a lock for the Liberals, but the Bloc could have a significant sweep of seats outside of the island of Montreal if they can keep this momentum up.
And there's sorry, I was just going to say, there's talk that the Bloc could get 30, up to 30 even more seats. Like the thing about the Bloc is the rise has been continual. It's not just a bump.
Yeah.
They've been going up, and Yves-François Blanchet has surprised even Quebecers. He used to be known as a goon. Suddenly, he's polished.
He's the other winner. He's the other winner.
And you know, the fear-mongering, because the Conservatives, you can just start hearing in their rhetoric, you know, a vote for the Bloc is a vote for separatism. The more they do that, the more the Bloc numbers go up, because that's not what he is selling. What he's saying to Quebecers is very simple message. I'm the best guy to be in Ottawa and to defend Quebec's
The other
interests,
similar message from the Liberals is going to be a vote for the Bloc or a vote for the NDP is a vote for the Conservative Party.
Yes.
But I don't think Canadians care that much about
it won't work in Quebec.
Because what is really dragging the Liberals down, and we were all told nobody was paying attention, is that governments that lose public confidence and public trust lose elections, and they lost it.
Is trust an issue? I just want to quickly, one more thing, because I think on election night we'll talk a lot about the Bloc to see if the surge off the island is real. And I think Joyce said something really interesting. A lot of folks say, is separatism still alive? But they're not selling separatism.
No,
they're selling nationalism. Maybe in English Canada we don't understand the difference. It's a big difference. What is driving his popularity?
What's driving his popularity is nationalism and fighting for provincial rights.
Exactly.
Basically to say we're not going to have Ottawa dictate policy. We want to get our fair share out of the Federation. Those are clear, easy messages. And you know what? They have no promises to make other than to advocate for Quebec, so it's easy.
A Quebec-only party could control a national government. How's that going to go down in Saskatchewan and Alberta, I wonder?
Not
Okay,
very
so,
well.
so Tonda, we're now in the last week. We've seen last week's totally change a campaign. Surges happen, people dip. I mean, things change a lot. So no one's calling anything here. What are you looking for the party messages to be in this last closing week?
I think that you're going to see the Liberals really try to wedge Canadians against the Conservatives and try and say you're going to waste your vote. You're not going to strategically vote if you vote for the other progressive options, NDP or Green. That's what I'll definitely expect from them. And on the Conservative side, you know, Craig's right. It's going to be very difficult for them to find a minority government partner. So they've got to go all in this week. But you've seen them being nice to the Bloc in a certain respect. So they too want to court in Quebec.
Yeah, that would be interesting if it's not toxic to work with the Bloc as a Conservative. I'm not sure anything's changed there. We'll find out.
That would
Maybe
be like Nixon to China,
right.
the Conservatives working for the Bloc, you know, East and West, Quebec
What are
and
you
the
looking
West.
for in the close?
Well, you know, I'm going to listen to the negativity because seriously, it has been a very negative campaign. I know all campaigns are negative and all that, and I'm not, you know, looking for idealism here. But, you know, if people in the workplace said the words that Mr. Scheer speaks, HR would be on us, like, and this is his workplace. Same thing with Trudeau, going for the wedge issues instead of bragging about their economic, you know, they've done well economically. The country's doing well economically. I hear no positivity except from Mr. Singh and Mr. Blanchette. So I'm expecting that the two will continue to be very negative, and that is not working.
We should just mention there was a big security threat for Mr. Trudeau at a rally on the weekend. He had to have wear protective vest and security, so you just hope that our election isn't given away to those kind of dark forces. Craig, what are you looking for?
Well, I'm beginning to wonder whether or not a federal government, any federal government, can support being backed up by a party which is essentially separatist. They still are. Right. They're playing that down in the Bloc Québécois, but they are. Can they allow themselves to form a government with the support of separatists?
Well, we saw it before.
There
was a coalition proposal where they were going to be included. I mean, right after.
But it fell apart.
It did fall apart.
But is that the scenario?
But they'll do it on a case-by-case
That is a very
basis
likely
now.
scenario.
There won't be a formal
conservative
coalition.
minority and a Bloc Québécois, because, you know, he has been, if you listen to the rhetoric of Mr. Scheer, he has been cozying up to the Bloc Québécois. He has been granting them things that they have been asking for, that Quebec has been asking the federal government for. Listen to the subtle messages. I hear them, and he is cozying up to them.
And on a case-by-case basis, that's what the Bloc has said they'd be prepared to work with the Conservatives
Absolutely.
or any party on.
Nick, just so at this point, where still lots can change, and you tell us, A, if these numbers are volatile in last week, but B, at this moment, are we correct to assume there is no majority in sight for anybody?
There's no majority in sight. There's only one trend line that I'm looking at, and it's actually the Conservative trend line. If we see the Conservatives in the next couple days pull ahead of the Liberals, that's the only thing that could potentially save Justin Trudeau and to try to get people to strategically vote. But if we're locked in a minority government, I expect people are probably going to stay with Jagmeet Singh and the Democrats and also stick with Elizabeth May and the Greens.
Interesting. So minority governments. All right, I got to leave it there. Now, it's up to a lot of people. Thanksgiving is a time when a lot of people sit around and they decide, you know, like gravy, to let their votes congeal. Craig, Joyce, Tonda, well, our gravy. Maybe it just does it on my arteries. And Nick, enjoy a great Thanksgiving weekend, everybody. Thanks for watching. We do have a special edition of the program next week, the day before the election, as we set up the big Monday. Make sure you get out there and vote, and we will see you back here in 7 very short days. Enjoy the turkey and the political fixins.